And it's Bob Barringer. He's the director of the Blissfield Library, and he is going to talk to us about book banning and book theft, practical responses to ideological action. I'm so glad you're here with us. That's so good.
Hi. Can everyone hear me? I'm bad because I can't hear out of this ear, and I can never tell if I'm projecting or not, so you let me know. I am the library director at the library in Blissfield. It's a Schultz Homes District library up until last year. We were a village library. The village was, I actually live in a village, so it does take a village. Actually, I don't live there. That's not true. I should say that. I do. My wife would say I live there, but I spend a lot of time in a village. When Dr. Kilmer asked me to do this, I wondered why. Because when I looked at the program, I really wondered why. Because what I see are a lot of academic level presentations. And while I did not come to the library world directly. I came through the back door as a faculty spouse, as a trailing spouse for my wife. So I have a PhD in English. I have done academic programs, but it's been 20 years. So I haven't done anything like that, and I didn't plan to do it today. That's why the better word would be pragmatic rather than practical. I have to make some confessions, though, that I'm not talking about the way we respond at the Blissfield Library to the real frightening actions where organizations bring in lists of 200 books that no one's read, and it might not even be in the library. That I call your lawyer is what I would say if that happens, and it's gonna cost money, because that's really what it's all about. That in some ways, that the bad guys win, because that's what it's all about. It's bankrupting. So that's not what I've had. And again, is this what? I don't care. We'll pretend. I have not had very many book challenges. I've been there almost 20 years. And we had one in 2009. I had thought it was 2011, but I looked it up because I keep everything. And so I had the letter that I wrote to the challenger. That made it all the way to the library board, and the library board agreed with me. And then we had, a few months ago, we had someone complain about a book in the children. That was an adult book that was brought home by a teenager, and the parent thought it was inappropriate for a teenager, inappropriate for the teen section, and I explained it wasn't in the teen section. But we have freedom to read policy too, so we weren't gonna not check it out to her. And then about 4 days after I talked to Dr. Kilmer, we got a book challenge. So I thought, cool, I have something to talk about. But it's really not that cool at all. It's no fun, and it was very much about one we had one a couple of months before. We never got to the point of a challenge, just a question of why the book is in the library. It was the same sort of book about the same situation. I don't want to go into that the current book challenge, because it's not yet been resolved. I've written a letter to the complainer and the patron, and we have had a discussion with her, but the time for her to appeal it to the library board hasn't passed, so I don't want to talk too much about that. I will just say in general then, not in reference to any particular thing, that I am old, because I feel absolutely stunned by the attacks on inclusion. I mean, I grew up where inclusion was the whole point of everything. Republicans, I mean, did you ever feel like, anybody who is as old as I am, did you ever feel like you longed for the days when Reagan was president? Because Reagan was elected when I was in college, and I thought the world ended. I thought it was all over right then. And it's not. It wasn't then, and it isn't now. But I don't know why anyone would want to take inclusion away. I don't know why that anger would be expressed toward an inanimate object sitting on a shelf that no one's forcing you to move, to take out of the library. That's my big problem. You can what you let your children read is up to you. What you don't let them read is up to you. What you let other people's children read is not up to you. And that's essentially what our policies, what guides our policies in the library. That big tent we had during the Reagan era, that's what Republicans are talking about. I don't know that I believed them even then, but it was all about getting more people into the Republican Party, and that seemed like a good idea. I think it's also, inclusion is good for capitalism, right? I mean, if you're going to sell more books or whatever it is, you want more people to sell it. You want more people in the room. I don't think there's anything wrong with inclusion, and it just doesn't make any sense to me, and it made me, I was talking to my son, who's now 25. I spent the first 4 years of his life at home with him, and those are the best 4 years of my life so far. And we read a lot, and one of those books, I was thinking, one of those books was all about inclusion. The book was Everybody Poops. And it's right in the title, isn't it? Everybody. And inclusion was a good thing. Inclusion helped us convince him, and helps parents convince him not to be afraid of this. This is something you can do, and because everybody does it, and it's a good thing. And he now 25 suggested that, because he knew I was coming to a college campus, he said, get a sign that says everybody poops and set under the Prove Me Wrong tent. and so I don't know where he gets that stuff from, but that was his suggestion. So I don't want to inflate potty training with intellectual freedom, but it is sort of this, they're both essential, and they're sometimes difficult processes, and so I think they're not that far removed. So let's see. We covered a lot of this. This is good. So I just want to go over the process that my library goes through, and that's the first page of what was a packet of materials. I had hoped to my son, again, taught me how to make a QR code that would give you all the link to this, but my library were in the process of changing website vendors, and they decided yesterday to take our website down, so we don't have a website right at the moment, so I don't have that packet. If anybody wants to, my email address is director, DIRECTOR, at blissfieldlibrary.org. If you will send me, if you would like to have this packet, I'd be happy to send it to you. So a few things I will just go over very, very quickly. I'm not reading everything, but I would just say, if you're a library, if you're going to work in a library in the future, this might be good for you. I did not do this alone. None of the libraries in Michigan did this alone. We were 3 years ago when this all started, we were told to prepare yourself. And so that's what we all did. We came up with solid collection development policies. Ours had been a page and a half. It hadn't existed at all until that first book challenge in 2009. When I first got there were like 3 policies in the library. One was like, wear a shirt in the library. and the others were about as useful. And so we by the time, now we have, I don't know, 40 probably. And the collection development policy we wrote right after that first book challenge was about a page and a half. Now it's 10 pages long. And it includes everything. It's largely cribbed unashamedly from the Michigan Library Association and the ALA, and I'm glad they're there to allow me to take cribs. The sort of thing I would have marked this, I would have sent student to student services over that kind of plagiarism, but I did attribute it, sort of. So I would say this is the important thing in the collection development policy. The library believes the collection should represent all disciplines, and insofar as possible, a variety or range of points of view. The collection should meet the intellectual, informational, and recreational needs of the entire diverse community. Even Blissfield is a diverse community, and it truly is. The library not only must consider the present needs of the community, but must also attempt to anticipate the future needs in order to give timely service. The library acknowledges commonality and seeks to provide materials that would appeal to a large percentage of patrons. The library also acknowledges difference and seeks to provide materials that acknowledge difference, some geared toward explaining differences to a general audience, and some geared toward an appeal to smaller groups within the library's diverse patron population. This is not attributed, so I may have actually written that. That would be surprising. Let's see. We do point out, because a lot of times that first question from a person who's trying to ban a book is, but you have made choices. And do you make choices, or do you just take everything in? And the answer is no. We do make choices, and we have to, because we have a limited budget and we have limited space in the library. So of course we do make choices, and we have guidelines for making those choices. We like to buy books from large established publishers, whether they be commercial publishers, Random House, Scribner's, whoever, or university presses, or whatever, and obviously some smaller publishers too, that do the same sort of vetting and expend the same amount of money to produce their product. And a lot of that is what falls under, we have a three-part sort of criteria and authority for selection. And that first thing is quality of presentation. And it would be very hard for self-published work, something that didn't go through that vetting process, to achieve that quality of presentation. Then the other are the needs of the community and the needs of the collection. So, for instance, I think I discussed this with some people just recently. We don't get a lot of books, political sort of treatises at the library, right wing or left wing, because they simply don't go out. And we have a limited budget, so I just don't buy it. Like, unless they transcend in some way, unless say a patron comes in and requests it, or it's getting a lot of press and people, so it's getting a lot of buzz. And so, but very rarely would we buy anything, just your average political diatribe. So what else? And this is just how this is more how we prepared. This is also nice to have done this, because I've gotten to reread this for the first time in 10 years. And, not 10, 5. And found some nice, some lovely typos in these. So, let's see, there's something else. All right, not only do we sort of reject the idea, first of all, our default is the book stays on the shelf. If someone bans it, in the two that I've done, the book still is on the shelf now. So that's because that's the way it should be. The library board, the one that got to the library board said, yeah, it stays on the shelf, and it stays on the shelf where it's supposed to be. We have had people recommend that children's books be moved to the adult section. Said, I would rather get it out of the library, because you're just hiding it. You're not, it's not a proper response. It's a half response. So you're trying to have it both ways, and you really can't do that. So you want it to stay where it's supposed to be. That's kind of interesting too, because when I first got the job, I was telling people, a colleague of my wife's at Adrian College, And she said, oh, I love that library. That was the only library where I could find Heather Has Two Minds. So when I got to the library, I said, I'm going to find Heather Has Two Minds. And it's not there. And I looked around for it, and it's not on the catalog. And so I asked the assistant director who was there when I got there, and she said, check over in the adult section. And it was there, but it's not in the catalog, and it's not in the children's area. So it was hidden, basically. I said, well, that's good. That's over. And so I put it back in the children's area. But it then, and we'll get to that in a minute. That's why the title is book banning and book theft, because we'll get to that. We'll get to book theft as an alternative to banning. We started out with that policy. That was our first response to everything's happened, just so that we'd be prepared. Then, this is all due to my assistant director. I don't take any credit for this. This is her. She came up with, because we do tend to have a very shy, introverted staff. People who work for libraries generally are that way. And so they have real problems, and they're young too, so they have problems dealing with difficulty. And I always felt like it's my role. I put out the fires. And so, but when I'm not there, or at least with the initial interaction, they have to handle themselves. So we came up with and that's what you see up here, is a script that they can follow to just get through the situation. And the key part of the script and the key part of the letters I write and the conversations I have with people who book ban is respect. Be nice. Even with people, be respectful. Act respectful. I mean, you don't have to say you have to feel respectful, but act respectful to the people, because at least in my experience, every single person who's come to us and complained about a book has been respectful too. They've said good things about the library. They've said they were surprised that book was in the collection. To which, I mean, I do sometimes have to bite my tongue, because I tend to be rather sarcastic. But I didn't want to do that. So generally they've been good encounters, good communication. I'm not going to take a book off the shelf unless somehow it has slipped through or has violated that collection development policy, and that's clear to them. So I don't think my library board. We don't always agree on everything, but I don't think my library board would vote to take a book out of the library. Not one I see, unless we could show some way that it had violated the collection development policy. Then we do have a conference, and then after anyway, this script goes on to talk about, and the last page or so could be used in any conflict situation where you talk about de-escalation and going and getting help. You don't have to stand there and allow somebody to yell at you. And so you get help. I have to stand there and allow somebody to yell at me. That's my job, and that's fine. So then it's actually we may be told. Yes. So the last thing I have then is when I was first talking to Dr. Kilmer, I told her the story about we didn't really have any book banning requests, any book challenges. People just tended to steal them. And I mean, that controversial books are much more likely to go walking than any other books. And so I just assumed that they're just stolen. And it's actually a much more effective way. If your goal is not to make a stink, and I think obviously these organizational attacks with the 100 books on a list and all that, those are meant to make news. Those are meant to make trouble. Those aren't the getting the books out of the library is not the first goal. But if your goal is to have the library take another look at that book, to eventually to consider taking it out of the library, if you want the book out of the library, just steal it. Because seriously, it would take years probably for us to know that book is gone. And by that time, and usually it's when it shows up on the lead list. So I mean, that's pretty much it. And I don't know, I think though that obviously the one thing, and we saw that in the Jeopardy here, the best way to make a book popular is to try to ban it. Then you're going to get a lot of people reading it then. So that's, I mean, so you got two reasons to just steal it. When you steal it, it's just to stay gone, and you don't create a market for it. But that's all I got. Any questions? No one? Oh.
I just have a comment. I love Blissfield. I've been going here for
I'm sorry?
years. I just love Blissfield. I just want to say
Oh,
that.
it is. It's a nice place.
Yeah, and I love what small libraries do for small towns. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We try to do things. We try to bring things to the library to Blissfield that no one else would. I just noticed someone said, Dr. Comer said this is the 28th annual vigil. This would be the second time in a week I participated in something that's 28th annual. We just participated in the library in the 28th annual Manhattan Short Film Festival, which we bring small independent films chosen by the Manhattan Short Organization, and then they're shown within the same 2-week period at 500 locations around the country. And we have, as far as I know, there's still no one in Toledo doing this. So we get a lot of people coming up from Toledo. We call Friday, the Friday night of the festival, we call it Toledo night. Because that's for some reason, it's when the Toledo people come. And then of course all the local people are at high school football games. So that it works out. You know, we have some space. So we had record attendance this year. Keep that on your, because I'm always promoting the library. Keep that on your calendar for September, first week of October next year. We will be, again, back at blissfieldlibrary.org, I hope soon. We're also on Facebook at Bliss Library. You can search that. We do lots of programs. I mean, that was what I insisted. I have a degree in English. I don't have a library degree, and I think to some extent that's helped me because I don't feel bound by library rules. And so I came in and I said the first thing we're going to do, it's actually in my application letter for the job, is you have to make the library unignorable. That came in helpful. Last year, when the village told us the reason we're a district library now and not a village library, told us they couldn't afford us anymore. So we had to go seek a millage from all the surrounding contract areas. We're a village library with contract service to the surrounding townships, and we won that millage. And so that has allowed us to do a lot more. It's given us the resources to do more and everything. So it's been a crazy time, but we'd love to see you. So come on.
Your website's back up.
I'm sorry?
Your website's back up.
My website. Yes, it.
Yay!
Yes. Thank you. And we're on Facebook, and we do lots of programs, and the programs were supposed to keep us alive. I said we didn't have money to pay for them, so I just never finished that statement. So I thought I just went to local businesses and say, if you have to pay for the promotions, I'll stick your logo on the ad. And they said, and so that's the way we paid for them. Now we have a millage, so we can actually do more programs.
I'm from Blissfield, and I love your library. And I'm so happy you're here. And now that I know you have an English degree, that's why there's the robust literacy. I love the literacy. So nice job. I've been in there checking it out. Can I open? That's what I thought. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I have been to the Blissfield Library too. It's very nice. They're very friendly there. So do we have people handing out